Manifold Gauge Set is a professional HVAC tool used to measure refrigerant pressure, control refrigerant flow, and service air conditioning and refrigeration systems. It helps HVAC technicians to check system pressure, diagnose problems, add or remove refrigerant, perform vacuuming and system charging. The tool is called a manifold gauge because all gauges, valves, and hoses are connected to a central block called the manifold. A standard manifold gauge set consists of several key components that work together to provide accurate readings and safe system servicing. Manifold block, center body. The manifold block is the main body of the gauge set, where all components are attached. It is usually made of brass or aluminum to withstand high pressure. The manifold block controls the flow of refrigerant or vacuum through the system using control valves. By opening or closing these valves, the technician can safely direct refrigerant to the required side of the system. Low side gauge, blue gauge. The low side gauge is colored blue and measures pressure on the suction side of the HVAC system. This gauge is a compound gauge, meaning it can measure both pressure and vacuum. Typically, it displays pressure from 0 to about 120 pounds per square inch, and vacuum from 0 to minus 30 inches of mercury. The low side gauge helps technicians monitor evaporator performance and check vacuum levels during system evacuation. High side gauge, red gauge. The high side gauge is colored red and measures pressure on the discharge side of the system. It is designed to handle high refrigerant pressures, usually ranging from 0 to 500 psi or more. This gauge is used to monitor condenser pressure and detect problems such as overcharging, restricted airflow, or excessive heat load. High side readings are critical for system safety. Valves and pressure control. Each gauge has a dedicated control valve, one for the low side and one for the high side. These valves allow technicians to open or close refrigerant flow gradually. Proper valve operation prevents sudden pressure release, protects system components, and ensures safe servicing. Valves should always be opened slowly during operation. Hoses and their functions. A manifold gauge set includes 3 hoses, each identified by color and function. The blue hose connects to the low-pressure suction line and is mainly used for pressure readings and vacuuming. The red hose connects to the high-pressure discharge line and measures high side pressure. The yellow hose is the service hose and is used to connect external equipment such as a vacuum pump, refrigerant cylinder, or recovery machine. The yellow hose can direct flow to either side depending on valve operation. Analog manifold gauges and digital manifold gauges. Manifold gauge sets are available in analog and digital versions. Analog gauges use mechanical needles and are widely used because they are durable, affordable, and reliable. Digital manifold gauges use electronic sensors and provide more accurate readings. They can also display temperature, superheat, subcooling, and support multiple refrigerants. However, digital gauges are more expensive and sensitive to damage. Manifold gauge sets are used to monitor, diagnose, and service HVAC systems, checking refrigerant pressure, detecting refrigerant leaks, adding refrigerant, evacuating the system, recharging AC units, troubleshooting cooling problems, HVAC and refrigeration repair. The gauge must match the refrigerant type, R22, R410A, R134A, etc. A manifold gauge works by controlling the flow of refrigerant or vacuum through the hoses using valves. When measuring pressure, the blue hose is connected to the low-pressure line, and the red hose to the high-pressure line. The technician reads pressure values directly from the gauges. During vacuuming, the yellow hose is connected to a vacuum pump, and the low side valve is opened to remove air and moisture from the system. When adding refrigerant, the yellow hose is connected to a refrigerant cylinder, and the technician carefully controls refrigerant flow while monitoring pressure to avoid overcharging. Important professional tips. Always use correct refrigerant gauge. Open valves slowly. Wear safety gloves and goggles. Never mix refrigerants. Check hose condition before use. The manifold gauge set is one of the most important tools in HVAC and refrigeration work. Understanding its parts, functions, and working is essential for every HVAC technician and beginner.